Good afternoon. My name is Emma, and this is, I believe, my fifth practicum reflection. Um, Today I'm going to be focused on the number 8, classroom organization and student motivation. So welcome to my car. We're going to talk about it. Um, I'm obviously still with Miss Purdell, her first grade class at Iron Ridge Elementary. And it has been still a lot of fun. Today, I thought was a great example of discipline motivation, discipline and motivation, just because today was spring fling for the kids, which essentially was about half an hour to 45 minutes. They piled a bunch, I think there was 4 or 5 different classes at different age levels into the gym at a time, for about half an hour to 45 minutes, and they all danced. They danced. They did line dances and the Macarena and the chicken dance, and it was so much fun. So we're gonna get into it. So nonverbal communication was high today because my mentor teacher was in charge of her cohort of classes for this. So she was at the front of the event, like at the front of the gym, and she was having to manage a whole bunch of different students. Obviously, the students' teachers, their individual class teachers, were also present, but she was kind of like the top dog in charge of everyone. She utilized, I don't know how she did it, but she knew every single kid's name in that gym. It was insane. And some of them are still in kindergarten, and she was like, Jimmy, and she knew his name. It was crazy, which really just shows how interconnected their school culture is. But she utilized spoken discipline by simply calling the students' names. If a student was misbehaving, the first 2 to 3 times, she would just be like, "Hey, Jimmy," and he'd settle down. This worked for approximately 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the student, before the negative behavior just restarted. So that was fun. During the dancing, I had 2 students placed directly beside me to encourage them to exhibit appropriate behavior. Simply my presence there, kind of being right in between those 2 students, really helped them calm down, stay focused on the dance they were doing. My presence with the one student definitely caused him to lower the amount of violence that he was exuding at the time. So that was nice. And then, so those are like the kind of 2 big discipline things. Was just like the spoken discipline, with just like one word, the name, and then my presence around the students as a authority figure, which I'm still wrapping my head around being an authority figure. But me being there as an authority figure really helped them to appropriate to display appropriate behavior. And then for the motivation half of this focus, my my teacher was very invested in the dancing with the kids, and honestly, the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the first dance, she was probably the only person in the gym doing it. But I think her enthusiasm and her energy and her enthusiasm and her energy really motivated the students to enjoy themselves and to get into it and to dance. And honestly, even myself, after about 10 minutes of my own awkwardness, standing there okay, do I dance? Do I not dance? Is my job to stand on the sidelines? What like? So it was kind of 10 minutes of me being standing there what am I supposed to be doing? Before her enthusiasm and energy even had me dancing with the kids and laughing, and I had a smile on my face. Um, so that was so much fun. Did you know, fun fact, they changed the moves to the Macarena? I was dancing the Macarena with these 6-year-olds, and I was like, okay, this one, I didn't know the first 3 dances, and I was like, okay, this sucks. They put on the Macarena, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to show these kids that I know what I'm talking about, because I know the Macarena. Apparently, I no longer know the Macarena. Fun fact. Uh, Anyways, she also really utilizes photos as a motivator. So she takes photos during special events, not really every day, but during special events, she takes photos to send home to the parents. the students do not get their photo taken if they're not behaving appropriately. And that's not necessarily a discipline thing. It's more of a reward. If you're exhibiting appropriate behavior, you get your photo taken, you get to be bragged about to your parents or your guardians. And if you're not appropriately behaving, then you don't get your photo taken. So that really motivates the kids to stay on task, be appropriate, and during Spring Fling, I think every single student got their picture taken. It was so much fun. I got my picture taken personally. It was great. Taylor, who is in your class after mine, also is in that is doing his field experience at that school that I'm at, and so that day we were actually there together, and so it was really interesting to see the difference in the way that the kids respond to him versus how they respond to me. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, both me and him were dancing it up with the 6-year-olds. It was so much fun. And then let's see, what else do we have here? That's about it that have on my little notes for the number 8, discipline and motivation. But just on a more like general overarching theme, the students, it was really interesting to see the students interacting with the other classes, because it wasn't all first graders. There was some kindergartners, some first grade classes, and some third grade classes. I don't think we had a second grade class in there. So when Miss Purdell was talking to the class before we went into the gym, she was like, okay guys, you're in the first grade now. That makes you the people that the kindergartners are going to look to figure out what they're doing. And I think that really resonated with, definitely not all of the kids, but resonated with some of the kids, to show them really what, like, to help them come into the idea that people watch them and use their behavior to mimic. So I think that really helped keep some of our kids under wraps, and controllable is not the right word, but like contained, because some of them are very high energy. And then on my personal growth plan, I've been focusing hard on students with IEPs. And I've not discussed with Miss Purdell which students in her class have IEPs, IPPs. I think that's the same thing. But there is one little girl in her class that is accommodated in many different ways. She gets to use a chair during carpet time, and the other students don't. She has essentially a mini weighted blanket that she carries around with her, which I thought was super cool. I have talked to Miss Purdell about that, and that is for her grounding techniques. And she's usually quite like shy and in her shell, but it was really great to watch her kind of break out of that shell during dance. She also kind of breaks out of that shell during gym class, I've noticed. So I think a physical activity for her is really important and allows her to interact with a lot of the other kids, because she doesn't have issues. I've noticed that she struggles with forming relationships with the kids um, in the same way that the other kids kind of form with each other. She's kind of a little bit of a loner. And so when she was dancing and when she was experiencing that kind of out of her shell moment, I think that was really, really good for her, because all of a sudden she was on the walk back to class. She was chatting with the other students. She was talking to one of her classmates about which dances were their favorites, and how they noticed one of the third graders was dancing super funny, and so that really just got her out of her shell, which was really cool to see and to even notice. So, and that is all I have for today. So I will come back to you next time.